This is the Schroth Podcast, a show that helps parents of kids with scoliosis find clarity in their path navigating the scoliosis journey.
You are about to be spoiled. Dr. Katie Blanchard, Schroth Method physical therapist and coach, brings together physical therapists, spine surgeons, and parents to share and discuss tips and tricks for managing scoliosis.
Scoliosis is not easy, but don't worry, we've got your back.
What's up, everybody? Katie Blanchard, Schroth Method physical therapist here. Welcome to the very first episode of the Schroth Boss Podcast. I'm happy to have you here and listening. Today, in our first episode, we're going to be talking about me and my why as a Schroth Method physical therapist, that I'm putting together this podcast and the goals for this podcast. I have a lot in store for you, and I'm very excited. So me as a physical therapist, I went to physical therapy school, and like a lot of other PTs, I learned the very minimum about scoliosis. I think I had one lecture that covered a little bit of scoliosis. And now looking back at that, a lot of the information that was shared with me in that lecture was incorrect on how to treat scoliosis. So once I started practicing as a PT, I was working for a company in which a spine surgeon reached out to us at the company and said, I have nobody within my region, within an hour or two of my clinic, that does something called the Schroth method. And so I didn't even know what the Schroth method was at that point, and I didn't even know that it was to treat scoliosis. So we looked into it a little bit more. One of my colleagues got certified, and we quickly became super busy at our clinic. And that's what caused me to have to step in and get certified in the Schroth method as well. And it's not until I started treating kids with scoliosis and having a full caseload of kids and adolescents with scoliosis that I really started to fall in love with treating scoliosis and working with kids specifically. Scoliosis is not an easy diagnosis. There's a lot to deal with and a lot of information out there. So I love when a parent comes in, they're really concerned. They were told that their child has a certain degree of curve in their back. X-ray was slapped into their hand, and they were told, let's wait and see what happens in the next 6 months, 12 months, and hopefully, fingers crossed, scoliosis doesn't get any worse. So when these patients and their parents show up in my clinic and show up to talk to me, I'm the one who likes to provide a little bit of clarity and education on what to do next. So just simplifying the diagnosis and letting parents know that there are conservative methods to manage scoliosis and halt or stop the progression of it getting any worse. And this is the Schroth method. And so working with kids is really fun. I just love coming into the clinic and it being something new every day, whether that be I'm working with my youngest patient who has been 6 years old, or my oldest patient who's, in their 90s, but the kids are really my jam of what I really love to work with. I have cheerleaders, dancers, basketball players, hockey players, weightlifters who all are kids with scoliosis. And so part of what I like to emphasize in my practice as a Schroth PT is that you don't have to stop any of those activities that you really love just because you have scoliosis. It's something that we can manage and that you can manage along your journey to make sure it doesn't get any worse without having to give up the things that you really love. So the goals of this podcast, I have an all-star lineup of other Schroth PTs, spine surgeons, orthotists, Pilates instructors, and parents coming together to speak on the podcast so that we can all collaborate together and get the best information about scoliosis, and so that we can all learn together regarding the diagnosis and what we need to do with that diagnosis going forwards. So there's 3 things that tend to really worry parents when their child gets diagnosed with scoliosis. First and foremost, they don't have a lot of direction. So you get that diagnosis, first and foremost, you're told wait to see, and parents don't know what to do next. Second, they're really worried because there's not a lot of access to Schroth PTs around the United States. So that's something that I want to break the barrier on and just let parents know that just because you don't have someone within your vicinity, there are other ways to access Schroth, whether that be virtually and doing online Schroth sessions, which is something that I provide and a lot of other Schroth PTs provide. Or doing an intensive session where you travel somewhere for a long weekend and learn Schroth to the best that you can, and then you go home and practice it yourself. Or just doing a consultation with someone who knows Schroth or scoliosis, who can give you really good resources on how to access or how to find someone in your area who can do it in person if appropriate. And then finally, a lot of parents are really worried that their child will need surgery. And so the goal of the Schroth method is to stop the progression of scoliosis, which will hopefully prevent spinal fusion surgeries down the road. So that's one of the main goals of what I do as a Schroth PT. And so bringing all these wonderful experts onto the podcast, we'll kind of go over those three main topics to hopefully get you as a parent of a kid with scoliosis more clarity on the path and the journey of what scoliosis is and how to manage that for your child in the best way possible. Because I know you want the best for your kids, and you want them to get the best care, and you don't want to, have them looking down the road, looking back at their childhood and wishing that they would have done something different with their scoliosis. So great. How can you reach me? So I'm a Schroth PT. I do online virtual consults and online virtual Schroth sessions with scoliosis specific exercise. You can find me at schrothboss.com or follow me on Facebook or Instagram at schrothboss. And I also have a really good resource for you all. I have a free Facebook group called Schroth Method, Guidance for Parents of Kids with Scoliosis. And that is a free Facebook group. If you just join, that's where all my best resources end up in that Facebook group. And I do a weekly tutorial on something scoliosis related, whether that be a Schroth specific exercise, some type of modification for activity or for posture regarding scoliosis. So just tips and tricks that will help you and your child out along the way. So that's Schroth Method, Guidance for Parents of Kids with Scoliosis Facebook group. And so with all of this coming together, hopefully we can provide you that clarity that you need on your scoliosis journey. So I'm here to help, and this was the first episode and more to come.
Thanks for listening to the Schroth Boss Podcast.
Want more info on scoliosis and the Schroth method?
Join our free Facebook group or connect with us at schrothboss.com.
See you at the next episode.